Hi friends, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to do some metallic tip, dual tip markers from Artistro. I just got these in and I could not wait to play around with them and take you guys along for the ride. So again, they're from Artistro, which is a pretty good company. I do recommend them. They're very budget friendly. The products are usually pretty respectable. I mean, for being budget friendly, and the price point that they typically are. I paid $23 for a count of 36, which is reasonable. My primary reason for getting these was the brush tip. I don't have a lot of this type of marker, if any, in a brush tip, and I was kind of excited to see that. I absolutely love this artwork, just as a side note. But it also comes with a 1.0 millimeter fine tip as well. On the back is their social media, which is right here. They have their Pinterest, their TikTok, their Instagram, and their YouTube. So feel free to check those out. Let's pull these out. There we go. I have 2 coloring papers to do quickie swatches on. And I recommend when you want to swatch markers like these, especially when they're glitter or metallic, I highly recommend doing it also on black paper, because these type of pens typically will show up different on black than white. I highly recommend doing that. Sometimes the differences can be actually quite dramatic. I also have this one of my absolute favorite large print coloring books from Coloring Book Cafe, excuse me. I cannot speak today. Coloring Book Cafe. I absolutely recommend their books. The paper is definitely Amazon paper. However, they put out some pretty nice books. So I picked out a little image to just play around with. And when you use, as a side note, when you use markers and paper like books that have paper like this, I recommend a sheet of copy paper. I highly recommend that. So I thought we'd have a little play with that in that book, just to see how they look. So let's pull out the black and see how the black looks. I hope these are as nice as they seem. Let me move these out of the way. So let's see. Let's get a good look at the tips here, as well as the barrel. So it says dual tip marker, water-based ink, 1 millimeter. So this is the fine point end, and this is the brush tip end. So let's take a look. Ta-da! And that's the other side. Pretty cool, right? Nothing fancy, but fine point. And then there is the brush tip. That excites me. All right. Now let's see if it has a color name. On the brush tip is also, it says 0.1-5 millimeters, and then the fine point says 1 millimeter. Choking hazard, of course. It does not list a color name. Wow, that's wonder if it does in the box. Let's check the box again. Nope, nothing. Okay. Sorry guys, that's kind of what I would say. That's kind of a ding, maybe. There's no color names, but okay. We'll roll with it. So, ooh, pretty. That's what the brush tip looks like. I like that color. It's almost like a cross between gold and bronze. Ooh, that was the fine tip, and this is the brush. So, ta-da! We got your brush tip. Wow, these are pretty. I think it's much easier to lay down a more even layer with the brush. It's a little bit harder with the fine tip, but not impossible, as you can see. I just have to concentrate a little bit more. But it's still, they both lay down. And another thing you might want to note is that as they dry, it does change a little bit. Water-based Poscas even do that. Water-based Tombos and watercolor in general will dry differently. It'll usually lighter. So it'll be interesting to see how these all look when they're totally dry. Even I think alcohol markers even do that. Do the brush tip. That's beautiful. I'm loving these so far. Ooh, that's so pretty. Huh. Do you guys catch in this how the they're different? The fine point is different. Check that out. I noticed it over, not on these two, on just on some of them. Like the brown is the same. The yellow is a little different, not too much so, but the purple and the blue are drastically different from the brush to the fine point. You can see a dramatic difference there. Look, that's wild. But yet these two are not that different. But I'm going to do this again because I'm just... So here we go with the brush tip. Now it's darker. I'm so confused. Huh. Oh, that's what I was talking about. How they dry. There it is. Do you see how now they're the same? Oh, okay. I got it now. It's just how they're drying. And I think this dried differently because I might have gone over it a few more times than I did that one. So that's just something to be mindful of when you're working with these markers, is you see what a difference it made when I most likely went over that one more times than I did that section, and how much of a difference it made. It definitely dried darker, whereas I did this one more the same and it looks more the same. Whereas this one I did the same thing. As I did here, I went over it more times than that, and so it dried darker. There it is. So that's just, for a second there I was like, did they put in like two different colors on each, one on each end? But I think it was just me, not going over them the same. So I'm just going to do one pass on each end and see if it doesn't stay the same. Huh. Yeah, that was definitely on me. Interesting. Very interesting. Ooh, look at that pretty color, you guys. Oh my gosh. That's the fine point end. Here's the brush tip. Oh, one thing to note too, when you're using a brush tip, treat it like a feather. Do you see that? Pretend like that's a feather, okay? You want to barely touch that kind of a tip to the paper. You don't want to push too terribly hard, because what you're going to do is ruin that tip. Because look, I'll show you. Do you see how it gives and it bends? I don't know if you can tell from there, but you see the give that it has? That you don't damage that tip. And this will come out, by the way. I'm not worried about that. That's going to come out. It's water-based, so just some soap and water will take that out. In fact, there it is. See, it's already off. So if you happen to get some on you, don't freak out. It's water-based. You'll be fine. But just gently touch it. And watch you go over it the same amount of times, or it's going to come out like that. And that. Let's see. These are gorgeous. What do you guys think so far? Ta-da! I don't know if that's one of my favorites per se, but you see how gently I'm touching the tip to the paper? You know, again, you really do have to be careful with those tips. I think in the interest of time, I'm going to just stick with the brush tip because it's just going to take too long. So I'm just going to open up the brush tip from this point forward, or we're just going to be here all day. This one is not showing up too well, but I bet you once it dries it will. Whoops. And they pop out pretty easy, by the way. Let me put this aside here. We'll cover this up. This does pop out pretty easy. See? All you gotta do is just like that, and it just pops right out. Piece of cake. Ta-da. Oh, that's beautiful. Ooh, pretty too. What is your favorite so far? And I wish I could post direct Amazon links to this. And if you want to help me to be able to do that, then please like and share and subscribe. That will help me a great deal, especially the subscribing. That way I can monetize. And when I can monetize, then Amazon will look at me and go, oh, okay, she can put in direct links now. So if you want me to be able to put in direct links, I need you guys to subscribe and share it out. Ooh, look at that. Yikes, it's so pretty. Very interesting how it's showing up on the black paper, don't you think? That looks nice. Ooh, this one might be one of my favorites so far. This one just might be one of my favorites. Ooh, pretty. These are really nice, guys. They're laying down really smooth, really juicy. So far, I would give them a 10 out of 10. Ooh, this is one of my absolute favorite metallic colors right here. I absolutely love this particular metallic. Kind of looks a little bit like this one, in my opinion, but I still like it. So I hope everyone had a great New Year's and a great Christmas. I hope you enjoyed my 12 days of Christmas coloring books. I really, really enjoyed doing that. It was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of work, though, I'm not gonna lie. Oh, these are so pretty. Ooh, that's a good one. I like that one. What's your favorite shade? That's so pretty, honestly. I think I'm going to use the daylight side of these, honestly. So these aren't glitter, they are metallic, which is fine. If I can find me some glitter markers that are like this, like these metallic ones, I'm definitely gonna bring those up for review on my channel. But these are a great start. I really do like the brush tip stuff. It's a little easier on some things to control what you're doing, although the fine point is good too, but it depends on what you're doing. Oh, that's pretty. I like this one. Nice. This one almost decided to take a dive off my desk. I also hope you guys enjoyed the brief little short that it wasn't exactly a short, but the little brief video that I put up of my all the stuff that I did last year. I hope you enjoyed that. Just to show all the different things that I did and made and colored. This is great. Oh my gosh, can you guys hear the birds? It's like dead of winter and the birds are just going bananas. I don't know why. That's pretty. I don't know why, but just see what I mean? I'm so sorry, guys. At least my cat is not bothering me. He's 5 years old and he likes to come in and make cameos, and I'm kind of wondering, I'm just kind of waiting for him to show up and announce himself. Oh, wow, that's great. I love that purple. Almost like a lilac. So, there are our colors on the black paper. So let's do the white paper. And this time I'm just going to grab the fine tip, I think. You see, and we're going to compare the difference too. That one didn't want to pop out. You see how different they look on just your regular, you know, cream/white paper. How different they look. Wait do you see me hold them up side by side? It probably is going to blow your mind. The difference is quite dramatic. Let's get these out of the way here. All right. I think they look dramatically different. These are beautiful markers. I mean, for 23 bucks, guys, for 36 of them on Amazon. I think I'm definitely getting my value for my money, which is such a rare thing these days, right? I mean, everything's just like shrinking in size and going up in price, and these seem like you're gonna get your money's worth, and that's important. It really is. Yeah, for most of us anyway. I also have in the works a if there's anything you would like, either in terms of comparisons or reviews, or even a particular pencil or marker technique. I'm not an expert. I'm not very good at alcohol markers, but I do other markers okay. Just as a side note, alcohol markers is not my specialty. Let me know, and I will be happy to work on that. Oh, it's amazing how different they look. My mind is just like kind of blown. Wow. And that one still looks good. This silver still looks good. And the lids go on pretty easily too, which is important. I've had markers where the lid did not go on very easily or off very easily. And if you have arthritic issues like I do, that can be a real problem. So let's go for side 2 here. Ta-da. What do you guys think so far? I like this one on the white paper, actually, a lot. This one looks really nice on the white paper. You know, it's kind of white, creamish, I don't know, something like that. That's interesting. I'm definitely glad I got these. I also do watercolor too, so I'm not that great like a freehand artist, so I can't really sketch a lot of my own stuff. But sometimes I'll use stencils and other things to kind of help me, get me started. So I can do some watercolor things, and I have done some watercolor reviews, watercolor pencils, that kind of thing. I can do watercolor comparisons. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. I can also look into that. Well, that looks dramatically different. Wow. From the black paper, that one, wow. Wow. Ooh, that looks really pretty. I like this one better on the white paper. This one too. Huh. Okay, so that's all the swatches now. Let's get these together. Okay, so here we have both of them side by side, done in the same order, although kind of a little all over the place, but still essentially in the same order. And you can see how much different they look. Like, I mean, for example, look at these two. That's actually fairly close to the same. But if you look at the, I don't know, I guess you could call that a lilac maybe? Lavender? Dramatically different. This one is dramatically different. Let's see what else is this different. I think that's something you're gonna have to look at and judge for yourself. I think that some are like this one close, but then there's others like this one, for example, that look definitely different. That's kind of wild. You see how much more they pop on the black paper versus like the regular, like standard color paper. They pop so much more in that black paper, don't they? So if you want to learn to work with black paper, these kinds of markers and gel pens are really fun to do on black paper. So our next thing to do is to see how these look on a coloring book. And again, if you're going to do this type of coloring book where it's Amazon paper, please don't forget your sheet here. Water-based markers don't bleed as easily as alcohol markers do, but they will, especially on Amazon paper. So that's just something to, note. Find my nearest red marker and do a heart. And I'm going to use my brush tip. And you remember with the brush tips, again, you have to just gentle, like a flick, like you're just flick, 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 flick. Keep on flicking. You see I'm just touching it gently and just flicking very lightly. I'm just doing a little scrumbling here at this point. And a little straight around the edges. If I had a black paper with black, a coloring book with black paper, I would definitely be using that, but I don't. You see, these are pretty opaque too. Do you see how these markers are covering up the lines, the black lines of the images pretty well? So that is something to note with these. If you want something that is opaque and you want something to cover up your lines in your coloring book or your sketch lines, these will do that. I mean, you see how it covered them up pretty well. Let's try. Oh, I got it. One of my favorite color combinations is green and pink, like a lime green and a hot pink kind of deal. That's one of my favorite combinations. So, but man, these are definitely opaque, and you might get away with 2 layers in a coloring book like these. These are very, very juicy, which is good, but you're gonna have to be very careful. I would recommend to definitely go easy on the layers. As opaque as they are, you shouldn't need any more than just 1 or 2 at most anyway. But especially when you're working in Amazon paper, you're going to burn through that paper. Let's see what the other side looks like. Well, that's not too bad. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Not bad at all. And it didn't even touch the paper here, so that's not too bad. Let's use the fine tip. Since we're doing a smaller area here, let's use the fine tip. It's not as pale as I thought it was going to be, but it may dry differently. As I discussed a little bit ago, wet media tends to dry very differently, especially when it comes to markers and watercolor. Water-based markers and watercolor dry much lighter. That is definitely drying darker than I thought it would. That's interesting. Well, let's try this one. I wish these had color names. I'll be honest, that does kind of bother me a little bit, but yeah, you know, for being a budget art item, that's really not a big deal. I just want them to work well, and they do. They absolutely do. Birds again. I don't know, guys. Oh my lord, the birds around here are just going bonkers. Let's go back to this one for the center. I don't know. If you guys, let me know in the comments if you know what kind of bird that is. I'm not a bird person per se. If you know, let me know in the comments, please. I would love to know. We get this bird around here a lot, and I'm not even gonna lie, it's one of the more annoying bird calls I've ever heard in my life. I'm gonna try something, guys. We're gonna try a little blending here. So for that, I'm going to use my fine tip. We're going to mix these two together. Make sure this is on camera. Okay, there we go. All right. We're going to try something. Gosh. Quite at all what I was expecting. Now, one of your tips for blending things like this is a light hand. Just a little too there. Now, you want to always make sure you put your lids back on as soon as you can, because they will dry up, and as wonderfully juicy as these are, you don't want that. Get yourself a blender marker like this. This one is from Tombow, by the way. And just gently, and I mean gently, 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 just go over it like that. You see how Yeah, especially in Amazon paper, you have to be really careful. But do you see how it's blending it? I'm still learning these particular markers, and it's handling. Look at that. See how it's blending that, guys? You just kind of play around with it till you're happy with it. It's taken more layers with this blender than I thought it would. But I'm using such a gentle hand. Now, I don't know if you can tell there is a bit of ink right on the tip here. These typically will come with a lot of your water-based markers. This set did not include one, but a lot of your Tombow marker sets will include one of these. Almost all of them do. You see how that's dry, and when it dries, when it's fully dry, it will look a little bit different. But do you see how well it blended? I was thinking initially maybe just a couple passes, but it took at least 4 or 5, which is a little surprising. Oh, let's check out our heart and see how our heart looking. Yeah, I don't know. Let's try something different here. Let's see. Let's see how my heart looks. I'm going to add a little brush. Then I'm going to go back over it with the red marker that we initially used. Very delicately though, because at this point the paper is pretty well saturated. So you really want to be careful. Oh, that looks good. Now, one thing, make sure you don't have ink from the previous marker on it. So you just want to, grab your scratch paper or something else and just kind of dab it so that it doesn't stick onto it. What do you guys think so far? Not bad, right? Okay, so I finished this lollipop off camera. And let's see what the other side of it looks like. See how well it bled through. So what do you guys think? You can see where it did a little bit right here. And that's because I used the fine point instead of the brush tip. So that's one little thing to note. You're going to get more paper tearage and bleed through with the fine point tip than you are the brush tip, if you're as gentle with the tip as you should be. And also, I forgot to blend this, but I highly recommend these. I do. Especially when you're working with markers, alcohol markers, water-based markers. It's a great way to blend things. Whoops. Now, see, that's what I mean about making sure your tip's clean. I just made my point. This is what came off on the tip. I just made my point. However, I can make this work because it'll just be like a reflection. There. So. That actually looks kind of good. Just blend that in a little more once it's had a chance to dry. Gently go over your middle section. There you go. And once that's dry, it'll definitely look a little more softer. But what do you guys think so far? Are these not pretty decent for being $23? I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope you'll buy them. I think they're awesome and definitely worth what I paid for them. So I will see you guys in the next one. Have a blessed one. Bye.